Hello, and welcome to Here's the Thing with Robbie and Jose, where we explore relationships through a male and female perspective. With me, as always, is the lovely Robbie.
Hello, Jose.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Yay.
Yay.
Yay, love.
No, boo, love.
Boo.
Nah, love is cool, man. Love is cool. When done right. Let's put it that
Yes.
way. When done right. So today we're gonna be wrapping up not exactly completely wrapping up, but we're gonna be discussing Love is Blind episode 10 and 11. So
Wedding days.
yeah, it's a 2 for 1.
Bachelor, bachelorette.
Yeah, it's the wedding day / bachelor party, and I guess it's in the course of 2 days. So it's
Yeah.
that's appropriate. I'll do it.
Yeah.
So, real quick, one thing that I have noticed, and then this one in particular was weird because bachelor parties have changed. When I got married, it was just standard. You just went to a strip club. You just go there and
Or you order a stripper out of a cake. Is that a thing?
or that too. Yeah.
Surprise.
But it turns out over time that things have changed, and bachelor party doesn't do that all the time. So now they're exploring or doing like other events.
Yeah, like rock climbing or whatever.
Like rock climbing. They can go like shooting, like if they want to like shoot all.
Shoot skeet?
Yeah, they could do that too. Or they could do like I've seen sometimes where they go out to like the desert and they take a tank and they like shoot the tank or like a rocket launcher and blow stuff up and stuff.
Now that we're describing more and more, I'm like, wow, it has really changed.
It's changed, yeah. And I don't know why that has anything to do with being married, but
It's like one less thing they can go hang out with their friends, and the wife can't be like, no, you can't go.
Right. But I mean, but anyways, so in this episode, I think what ended up happening was going to be the bachelorette party and the bachelor party. And so the bachelor party was different. So they decided to go to a rodeo. First, and when I saw it, I was like, oh, okay, I guess. They decided they wanted to buy hats. So they got cowboy hats. So they decided to go, let's go buy hats.
Yeah.
It would have never occurred to me to tell my buddies, guys.
I think it was probably like Brennan's idea or something. Because for anyone who's not from around here, they were at the Fort Worth rodeo, and in that area is a bunch of, clothing stores and stuff, and they can make like custom hats and stuff.
And he's like, let's go get hats.
Yeah, he's like, come on here, buddy.
It reminds me of Anchorman. I think it was Anchorman 2 when they're like, let's feel better. Let's go get suits. And let's go get perms because they got perms. They all got perms.
I don't know.
Sorry.
Maybe for the people who weren't like SK, like, when he's talking about, he didn't really understand going out there on the rodeo and stuff like that. But like, he's a different culture. So I don't know. It may be cool if like someone said like, hey, let's go do this thing. And it's something that's totally out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. No. And exactly. So I'm not knocking it. It's an observation on my end, a generational observation that things have changed. I don't think it's good or bad, but the hat thing would have never occurred to me. I just can't remember if I would have even brought up the idea, hey guys, let's go buy hats.
Yeah. I think it's cool how guys do bachelor parties now because it feels like it's more like, this is what I wanted to do with my bros or whatever.
Yeah.
And it just seems more genuine. And it's like, well, yeah, like,
yeah.
I think
like
it's
sometimes
cool.
they can even go into like, and they can do multiple things. It's not just one event. Like they could go to like a nice cigar shop.
Yeah.
And, get like bourbon and stuff and like just chill out and hang out and, get a stogie.
Isn't that what they do when they do like not the cigars, but like tuck shopping? They go out and they usually have like a whiskey and they're just kind of hanging out like at the tuck shop. They have like a little area, not like the cheapo ones, like a higher end.
And even at that, I would say it's a little more. It is primal. It's something about like because again, whatever event you choose, it's fine. It's not a big deal. Like I said, it's an observation, but I think at the essence, it's like okay, we're sending you off, buddy. You know what I mean? It's the final like just big blowout blast that we're gonna have, and then we're sending you off to married life, and
and we'll never see you again.
And you will be changed. This version of you will never see again for sure.
Now when we see you gonna be wearing a diaper bag and
Well, and it's funny you say
New
that
Balance
because
shoes.
there was one time I was dating a girl and I went out with a group of friends and I introduced her to some friends and they made the observation. They're like, "Oh, this is relationship Jose." And I was like, "What?" And it's like, "Yeah, you're different in a relationship than you are when you're single." I didn't see it, but I trust their judgment. And I'm like, "Oh, that's interesting." So now from here on in, they're like, "Oh," because they had never seen it. They're like, "Is it, can't wait to see relationship Jose again." I'm like, "Okay, whatever the hell that means." But yeah, and I'm sure it's the same way with women too. There's probably the way women are. I don't know if you've experienced that women are different. And I don't mean fundamentally, but in the way that they do things when they're single versus when they're with
Yeah, I
somebody.
guess so. If you're single, you're like, woo, shots. Like, like you're
Wow. Okay. And when you get married, that ends?
well, you're not going to be as that. You know what I mean? You're going to be more settled,
One drink, please. Do you have a Chardonnay?
A real buttery Chardonnay. Yeah, but I mean, I think
Which
it's
is
just
different from shots.
yeah.
Sorry.
No, but I think it's just, like it just kind of, when I say settles down, I don't mean that in a negative way. I'm just saying it kind of chills you out. It's like, okay, I'm in love. Everything is good.
Sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. No, I
Jose's
love.
hating the word love.
No, I love. Go ahead. But yeah, but even I guess their interactions, I guess, like you said, like let's say you guys go out to a bar and obviously I'm hoping that relationship friend is not as flirty as single friend, right? Because they're like, I got a man now, so I'm not.
Yeah, I guess maybe if I was going out with, like, if I was in a relationship and I went out with a girlfriend of mine who was single, that kind of single, like, I guess maybe it would be a little annoying if she kept trying to, like, I have to be the wing woman and having to talk to guys just because, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, I'm here to party with you. Like, we can talk to some guys here and there, but like now I have a job to do, right? I got to get my friend somebody.
Have you ever watched the Amy Schumer show?
No.
There's an episode like that, and it's horrible. It's called The Wing Woman. It is a horrible thing. But let me ask you this. Do you think that relationship friend, let's call her Susie.
What is it with you and these weird names? Can you give her like a normal noun name?
A normal noun name? Like what, Maria?
Okay.
Okay, Maria.
Okay.
So relationship Maria, right? So there's single Maria, and there's relationship Maria.
Okay.
Do you think that when relationship Maria goes out, she's kind of waiting on guys to hit on her so she can say, "I'm sorry, I have a boyfriend." Like that phrase, "I have a boyfriend." Like, "Sorry, I have a boyfriend." Do you think that they're waiting to have that in their back pocket, like
they're
cocked
excited
and loaded, ready to go?
I hate saying that. It feels mean. Like, I don't want to be mean.
But do you think that they do that? Like, oh, I get to use that phrase now.
I'm sure a lot of girls do when they get engaged, because then it's a reason to show them the ring.
Oh,
they'd be like, "Sorry," and then they put it right in your face, and this is like huge diamond. Maybe
because I would imagine that a girl sometimes, and girls never lie, but that one girl sometimes, will turn down a guy and lie and says that she has a boyfriend when she really doesn't. So that's the nicest way.
Yeah, that is
instead
the nicest.
of saying, "I'm not interested in you."
Yeah, go away.
Yeah, it's just easier to say, "I have a boyfriend."
Right, because like if I didn't, then maybe.
Exactly. You know what? That's honestly, that's a very gentle way of doing it. And you know what? I lie to me. Thank you.
Yeah.
Because it gives me hope. It's like, man, I could have had that smoking hot.
She's
10.
like 1 in a million.
Right,
so you're saying there's a chance.
Exactly. But she had a man. So like, man, it's like, I never had
And then
a
you
chance.
go back and you tell your boys like, "Oh man, I met this girl tonight. And she was like, I really would like to talk to you, but my boyfriend's over there and he's really jealous. I gotta go."
Exactly. Honestly, it does preserve one's ego a little bit.
I 100% agree. I try to be as nice as possible because I know it takes a lot of guts to come up to anybody and say anything.
Yeah. It's very
So
difficult.
I get
And
it.
it's even harder to get shot down, which happens a lot. But
I've heard horror stories about how guys get shot down, like the really mean. Have you ever had that?
kind of. I mean, it depends on what you mean by mean, but
Well,
yeah,
someone's like,
it does happen.
ugh, like you need to
Yeah.
step away. Really?
Yeah.
Jose, you're going to make me cry.
Why would you cry about that?
That's mean.
That's the day in the life of a man. That's
Oh,
you get used to it.
but
I
I don't
mean,
want anyone to
it
hurt your
it
feelings.
no. I mean, well, yeah. Listen,
I know, but it just sounds mean.
nobody cares about my feelings of that. I can assure you. But no, I mean, it toughens you up and makes you stronger, more resilient. And you know, and this is kind of the flip side to that is that let's say you get rejected. Let's just say for the sake of argument, you get rejected harshly 99 times. And then, and if you, the type of women that you approach are, women, let's just say for the sake of argument, you only approach women that you think are smoking hot to you. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks, but to you, you're like, oh man, she's smoking hot. Like I really, really want her. And you do that 100 times, 99 times, you get rejected and it hurts. It hurts really bad because you're really into them, right? You think they're smoking hot. When you get that one, ooh, it's worth
It's
all
building
those.
up all those no's.
Well, all those no's, it was worth it for that one. It's almost like that's the prize. And not only that, you tend to work a little harder because it's like, I've been rejected so much and it hurts. And I finally got somebody that reciprocates and I like her. And it's like, oh, yeah, now it's on. Now it's on. But, and a lot of people don't always come back from that. Like they get rejected. And after a while, they just like, I can't tolerate the rejection anymore. I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah.
And it happens. I mean, it's like anything else. It's a challenge in life, and then how you deal with that. You either decide you're not going to give up and you keep going, or you decide, you know what, I'm going to tap out. I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
Or go on to the dating apps, which is a lot easier too, because it's easier because they just swipe right and they're like, oh, they like me back again.
Yay.
But it's the same thing. It's like I've swiped right to 100 gals
my
and only
finger
one,
hurts.
but only one hits you back, and it's like great. I got the same result without having the pain of all the rejection.
Yeah.
But it's implied all those other ones that you swipe right on, swipe left on you. So. But we don't think about that. That's the part that we're going to assume that those didn't reach them for some reason.
Yeah.
Because if they would have saw me, they would have definitely swiped right. But they didn't. Like the app expired or they had to pay. Anyways, I digress.
The credit card got declined.
Yeah, there you go. So with the men that go to a rodeo, chasing down little calves.
No.
Baby cows.
I don't remember it being a baby.
Yeah, they were calves. They weren't big cows. They're not gonna, or a bull. They're not gonna.
Well,
wrestle.
no, not a bull.
Yeah, no, these were calves.
I feel like a lot of the guys would be like, no, I'll sit this one out.
Heck no, man, it's a bull. Those things are nasty. Even cows, they're pretty big. They can hurt you pretty good. So they were little calves, and they had to it was a game. And they had to take like a ribbon off of their neck or something. I don't know what it was.
I'd say anything that weighs a lot more than you could be very dangerous.
Yeah, and even those guys. I mean, they're not. They don't attack you and stuff like that. But if obviously you get them scared enough, they'll trample you and they'll hurt you pretty good. But they were doing that, and I thought, oh, okay, good. And then in contrast, the women folk decided
they went to La Bear's, which is a local strip club.
Well, here's the thing, and this was so interesting. I started laughing because before they even went to the strip club, they were like at some place having brunch or something.
It was like a pool.
Yeah.
It seemed like probably like an Airbnb.
And they had
type
these dudes come out, right? And of course, they had no shirt on.
They're in Speedos.
They're in Speedos. They have no shirt on. They have a little bow tie because
it's got to be classy.
Well,
you can be in your underwear, but you can be classy.
But I thought it was funny because one of them, and I can't remember who it was. I want to say maybe Alexa, but I could be wrong. Says, "Oh, we have these strippers here," and they were like, "We're not strippers." I don't know if that meant that a joke, but technically they did have.
They didn't strip any clothes in front of them, so technically they didn't.
Well,
they just
and the part that everybody's interested in was covered.
Yeah, the middle section.
But of course, that's so. I just thought that was interesting because again, it would have been if it was guys doing that and they're like, oh, these stripper girls, and they're like, what?
Yeah.
If they were in bikinis and they're like, we're not strippers. Why are you
It
calling me a stripper?
just made me think of that when she said that. So if whoever said that didn't know, can we assume that the producers ordered those men for this little pool?
I don't know what
I mean, it's a
happened.
good way to.
I think that they decided that they were going to do it, and then somebody decided this is what we want to do, and then they set it up. Because yeah, I think with the rodeo thing, the producers probably reached out and said, "Hey, it's part of
Well,
the
yeah, of
show. Do you
course,
want to do
because they got
that?"
to be
So they
recording.
did get involved. So it was probably a consensus, like, "Okay, what do you guys want to do?" For whatever reason, the girl says, "We want to see naked men," and the guy said, "I want to go chase a baby calf and get hats."
Yeah. I'll get
Which,
matching hats.
which again, there's nothing wrong with that, mind you,
Mhm.
but it's just I'm laughing at the contrast in the fact that, okay, times have changed. I'm an old fuddy duddy. It just didn't happen that way
Yeah,
back.
what did the ladies do before for their bachelor party? Like they have high tea somewhere.
No, they did strippers too, mind you, but they also would do. Sometimes they would just do. Um, like they would have just a party. They would just go out
Yeah, I don't
dancing or
think
something like that.
strippers for bachelorette parties is that old.
No, it's not. It
Yeah.
just wasn't
So
used
that's what I'm
as
saying. What did they
much.
do before?
They would
Because
just go out and party and stuff. You see them in Vegas all the time. Like, ooh, I'm glad to get married.
yeah, I guess so.
And it's just like, and they usually have like little
Yes.
decorative
Uh-huh.
little baby pee-pees.
Anyways,
I know it's not that kind of show, but I'm just saying, like Vegas, what are you
mhm.
gonna do?
Yeah.
So they go there and then they go chase guys. It was interesting though because, so I guess Cole, he won. He got the ribbon off of the calf, and then
He tore his shirt off.
yeah, he tore his shirt off. And my whole thing with that is, I get it, right? I seen soccer players do it all the time. They make a goal and they rip their shirts open. But you kind of prepare for that from the get go because it's like, I know I have another jersey in the back I'm going to put on. As soon as I rip this up, I have like two or three just in case I score a goal. But I wonder, what do you do now? Like, do you have a shirt? Because you just had a t-shirt on. So are you just going to walk around shirtless or are you going to go get a shirt? What do you
Okay,
do now?
let me ask you.
Logistically, that's what's going
Hold
through my
on, because this
mind.
is making me think about like, I'm not saying guys are not weak. That's not what I'm saying. But if you're gonna tear your shirt open, doesn't there have to at least be like a cut, a slit, something in the top? How do you tear it from side to side? It's still cotton, like a Cole shirt.
Yeah.
Like it's a cotton t-shirt. That seems like it would be hard just to grab it in the middle and just rip it apart without like a V-neck or like something where it has like a, you know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna say something, and it's not intended to be.
Oh
So
no.
please don't take this, and anybody listening to it. We're men. A t-shirt is not gonna.
Well, that's what I'm asking. I'm not saying you can't. I'm asking like it's crazy how like that's
Yes,
you guys can just take it with nothing.
Yes, we're strong. We're pretty strong.
Okay.
You guys in this day and age, you just don't flex it very much. You don't have
I want to see more men ripping off their shirts.
I mean, if you give me a second here, but no, but like
Prove to me what you just
like,
said.
But seriously, like it's not very difficult.
Maybe because I've never seen it right in front of my face.
Yeah.
I've only seen it in like movies or whatever.
Yeah.
Like no one's ever come up to me and ripped his shirt off like that.
Okay.
It's never happened.
It's not that difficult, and I don't have a body. I don't have a body to do it. or
Even
else I
if you
would.
did it, I just want to see it.
No, I mean it's not to rip cloth is not. Don't get me wrong. There is
Maybe it's just more the angle.
It is a little. I'm not saying that it's like super duper easy, right? But what I am saying, it's well within any teenager's capacity. A male teenager. I don't know. Again, I don't know about females. I'm sure that they don't rip things up all the time, but it's not. In general,
Okay.
males have higher, stronger upper bodies. And you see that exposed. But
nice.
and again, he's on the somewhat smaller side too.
Yeah.
But you can't. And here's the thing: I've seen boxers and stuff like that, and we're digressing a lot. But you're used to seeing big giant muscles and stuff like that. But that doesn't always necessarily mean strength.
Oh,
You
I
can have a
100%
very
agree.
thin,
Right.
sinuate kind of muscle, whatever. and they're stronger than even the
Look at a
muscle
lot of the
bound
guys
guys.
in the military. I mean,
Yeah.
I have a lot of ex-military friends. They're not big guys, but like,
They're very strong, though.
yes.
And it's deceivingly strong because they're like,
Yeah.
oh, that
You're like,
dude's
oh,
just
he's
like
not
a
a
skinny
threat.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the opposite, too. Sometimes you see like big, strong, muscle bound guys. And
They don't know how to fight, so it seems like they're weak.
yeah, they're not very strong, or they're very strong in very specific ways. But as soon as you challenge in other directions,
Yeah.
they stand apart. But anyways, yeah, he took it all. But for me, logistically, I just thought, what are you gonna do now, man?
Yeah, that's true. Where was his other shirt? Maybe he had. I don't remember what he was wearing before. But did he have anything over his white tee?
No. It was just a t-shirt.
He's
And
just gonna
jeans
walk around with his
yeah,
shirt
they went
off?
all cowboy. That's what they decided to go cowboy. And cowboys
They're
is
like
t-shirt
calling
and
you.
jeans.
What are you gonna wear?
A white tee.
That's what women used to do before you go out to the club. Like, hey, what are you gonna wear? Because we need to dress kind of like in the same appropriateness or whatever. Like,
Appropriateness.
yeah, it's like if you're gonna wear, like skinny jeans, it's like, okay, she's going a little bit more casual, so I'm not gonna wear a dress. Maybe I'll wear like little shorts or something. Like, I'm telling you, when I was young, that's what we did.
Okay, so I gave her a look because I'm just trying to figure out what the heck are you talking. But you know what? I know exactly what you mean. So me personally, when I go out and about, it doesn't matter if I'm going to a club, if I'm going over to somebody's house, or if I'm going even just to like Chili's, let's say, right? I usually wear a blazer and a button up. Standard across the board. And I've gotten crap because like when we go to Vegas, my buddies, they'll usually have t-shirts on, sneakers and stuff, but I'm going to wear dress shoes, a button up and a blazer. And then they look at me like, dude, it's like, well, what you get mad at me for?
Yeah, dress how you want.
But that's my point, is just like y'all women will coordinate because you'll get upset. So I guess if, let's say there's three of you and one is dressed in a tight, dress, kind of like going out to a club dress. The other one's wearing jeans and a sweater, and then the last one's wearing shorts. You guys would be like, okay, guys. What are we doing here? I mean, do we all have special powers? Are we superheroes? And that's why we're trying to be different because we look mismatched. Like, where are we supposed to go? Because Tiffany over here with shorts isn't going to get into the club. And
she's wearing like yoga pants. This is wearing yoga. It just made me think of in a relationship. I do that too, though. If we're going to go to like an event,
yeah.
Either him or I will ask, like, what are you going to wear? So it's like, I know how to like, you know what I'm saying?
I've gotten that text too. Whenever I go on a date, they're like, what are you going to be wearing?
I get it from guys too. So it's like
ridiculous.
I guess it's not a gender thing is what I'm saying, because guys ask it too. I think it's about maybe a appropriateness or something like that of like.
But a guy has send you a text saying, what are you going to wear?
Oh, it happens multiple times.
Really?
Yes.
That's my brain blowing up, and it imploded. That's why you didn't hear it. It went in and it's like it collapsed within itself because it was so traumatic. And I thought there was something there and it wasn't. And that's why, anyways, what?
Yeah.
That is the silliest thing in the world.
I think they don't want to like, I don't know. I'm just saying like, maybe it's, if we were going to, let's say a semi-fancy dinner, and let's say I'm wearing like a to the ground, dress, right? Which is, well, I don't want to say gown because let's say we're going to like, a steakhouse.
Okay.
If I'm wearing that and he shows up in jeans, like dark jeans, which is fine, and maybe just a little bit, maybe like a polo shirt or something. I don't know polo shirts, but like, I think he would feel like, shoot, I should have dressed up to like look good with my girl or match her or whatever. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
I think, and this is just me, I come from the train of thought is that you should always be presentable no matter what. And even if you overshoot, if you will, it's fine.
I'd rather be overdressed than underdressed.
I'm telling you, I went to a rave. I had on a blazer, button up, dress shoes. I was the weirdest looking dude at that rave.
They're like, Joey, your dad's here, I think. You're grounded, he said.
Who let the parental in here? Yeah, it was weird. But, the nice thing about those is they're very accepting. But nevertheless, I digress quite a bit.
Yeah, they were at the strip club, right?
They were at the strip club. They had fun. Everything went down. And then, obviously, within that, the guys talk. So it wasn't just the cast, or maybe not cast is the right people, or the right term, but it's not just the people in the show. It's outside friends and family, and they're all talking and stuff. And you see Matt talking to his buddies and having his, just kind of,
Are you doing the right thing? Are you sure?
yeah, just sharing his kind of concerns, what he's going through, what he thinks, and they're trying to console him and like, yeah, you're fine. Like, don't overthink it. Quit. Blah 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 blah. But I thought that was kind of cool. Again, you don't see that a lot, and I'm glad that men do talk about relationships. Believe it or not, we do. Now, how we talk about it and the outcome that we talk about is much different than what women talk about.
What's the outcome of y'all's conversation in the end?
Well,
is it about getting your feelings across, or is it just like, what would you do? Like, what's the main intention?
Most of the time, and I can say, like what I saw here, it was very reminiscent of some of the conversations. You almost need that pep talk, that you need the encouragement almost.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm going through this. Now, here's the difference between, and this is not all the time, but there's one of the differences is that when we ask a dude for help or his opinion, we genuinely want to know what that is. So as men, we try to fix things. So what we're hearing is you have a problem. So they're immediately going to try to turn around and say, okay, here's the answer to your problem. So when he's talking to, and in this episode too, right before the marriage, Matt is talking to his dad, and his dad's also giving him advice, and that's what he's looking for. He really is looking for guidance to say this, that, and it's like his dad's telling him, you do need to take it seriously. You do need to be this way. You do need to not overthink it. And his buddies are just doing the same thing. It's like, dude, quit looking for problems that don't exist.
Right.
I don't know why you're doing that, but we like that. We like that feedback because we understand that, like, okay, I got a problem. They're seeing a possible solution, or they're seeing something that's going to help me. That's what I want. Now,
and they're your friends, so they love you, and it's like a genuine.
Right.
They're trying to help you.
And even if you don't agree with their solution, they're still going to give you one.
Yeah.
And we'll take it, and maybe we listen to it, maybe we don't, but they're going to give it. Now, in contrast, women typically are just supportive. They're just going to listen. Oh, I get it. You got the jitters. And that's it.
Is that what you think women's conversation goes?
Well, I've seen it because you see it on those and stuff. And it's like, yeah, they'd be proud of you. And it's a very supportive kind of, they're not trying to fix her. They're not trying to say go for it or not go for it.
They're looking for cheerleaders.
They're just saying, you're going to do whatever's right for you. When the time comes, you'll know. That's a conversation. Whereas if you were asking your buddy, it's like, dude, marry that girl. But a woman won't say that. Like, you need to marry him, girl. You need to marry him. They don't say that unless I'm wrong, right? They just say, when it comes down to it, you'll understand and you'll know what to do. Follow your heart. You'll be fine, right? And then it's like, yeah, but I have this concern. It's like, yeah, I get it. But they usually don't impose in that. Every now and again, you'll see them like, well, they're like, yeah, he's a great guy. Because even on the wedding scene, the wedding part of it, and there's Colleen, right? Because we're talking Matt and Colleen. Colleen was talking to her friends, and her friend said, I'm going to tell you something, and I don't mean it to be bad, but it's just like, Matt is the best looking dude that you've ever, that's why I know that you should marry him, because he's cute. And honestly, you don't date cute guys. And I just thought, whoa, that was a brutally honest, wow. When she said it, I couldn't imagine, I was like, I can't believe she said that. But that's what I don't know if you remember that part.
I don't remember. That was really shocking though, because that if a girlfriend of mine had said that to me,
yeah,
I'd be like, come again? What is this now?
Yeah, she said that. She was like, no offense, but he's really, really cute. And
that's what sustains a marriage, right? If they're cute.
But that's what I'm saying. But she's like, but the guys that you date, that's how I know it's serious, because the guys you date, they're not cute. And I can't remember what the conversation, but I remember that phrase. And her friend was trying to help her, believe it or not.
She's 25, I guess.
But I just thought, man, that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, the guys are over here telling you, like, dude, she's a good girl, this, that, and the other. Like, none of the dudes said, like, dude, she's smoking hot. Hurry up and marry that.
Or I will.
Exactly. It was just weird. It was just weird. But yeah. Then it comes down to the weddings, right? And I can't remember. I think was the first marriage. I think it was Brennan and Alexis.
Alexa.
Alexa, I'm sorry. I think that was the first one that they
I
showed.
can't remember the order.
Yeah, and I think no surprises there. Honestly, the dude is head over heels, and I'm sure she
I
loves
thought
him
they were going
too.
to say yes. I felt that very, even in the first episode, or was it first or maybe second, where they were like, I love you, whatever. Like, I'm not saying it's going to last forever. What I'm saying is that felt very genuine throughout the whole season,
Yeah,
that he was really in love
I
with
think
her.
everybody knew if I was going to make a
Yeah.
bet and I had like $1 million to bet, I'm betting that they were going
Yeah.
to. And that's how sure I was going to. So no surprises there. But real quick, and then we're going to go over to Nancy and Bartiz. So easy,
The whole
easy,
family was
easy,
involved.
easy, easy. Yeah, no, and they were, but and we're gonna get to that for just a second. But it was an observation that I made that before the wedding, they show up at the venue and obviously they have their street clothes or they need to go get prepared, right? Wedding dress, tuxedos, all that good stuff. And while she's doing that stock footage of her showing her show up and all that, she's narrating in the background talking about how Bartiz is not somebody in the quote unquote real world that she would have met, not least of which because she had a criteria. And one of them was you can't be younger than 30, I think is what her criteria is. So now Bartiz is not younger, or he's not 30 and above. I think he's 25, 26 or something. So that was a criteria. And I couldn't help but notice that the fact that it's like, okay, you made this criteria when you were of sound mind and body. And what I mean by that is that you're not emotionally you don't have any emotions about you're making that. It's like, okay, I'm logical, I'm sane, I'm not emotional. So I'm going to say, I'm going to write down these criteria for me. And I want a guy that's going to be over 30. And this is the reason why they're more mature, more established, whatever. She's going outside of that. And that's the part I was like, be careful. And the reason why I say be careful, right? Because I'm not saying it makes no difference to me whether people say that, oh, I don't mind if they're in their 20s. I don't mind if they're 30s. That's irrelevant. What I'm saying is when you make your criteria like that, there is a reason why you did it. It was based on your experience. And you have to trust your intuition and you have to trust that when you make this stuff, there's a reason why you did it. There is a reason why you did it, right? And maybe it's because you know yourself, or maybe it's because where you are in life, and that's what you want to do. But obviously, she's narrating that, and I'm just like, okay, let's see how this goes. Bartiz is also, talking about how much he loves her. He sends her like a shot or something like that, I think. And yeah, they're just talking about how great things are going to be. So I'm like, all right, sweet. They walk down the aisle. They stand there in front, and Nancy, you could tell she's in it. She wants to marry. There is no doubt in her mind at all. She wants to go forward. And Bartiz kind of looks like he's in the same space, but when they ask him whether you do or do not, I think he says he does not, and he's like, nope, can't do it, can't marry you. So now Nancy's devastated. She walks out. He immediately chases her, and I can't figure out why. Here's the thing about that.
Oh, I could tell you why.
Well, tell me, pray tell.
I think he was trying to make it seem on camera that he was a better person than what he is.
Oh, well.
Like a good guy would go chase after her.
Would he?
So,
good guy would have said yes, but
well, I guess
or
so.
make
But
her not walk down the aisle in the first place. But fair enough.
I just think it was just shows like, this is what I think a good guy would do. This is what I'm going to do. But anyways.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, there's always, and that's another topic, right? It's like when people do things that they think is good versus when people do things that are good because they're genuinely, and never the two shall meet sometimes. But he goes after her, and of course, she has a very close family. I'm going to put it that way, right? Close enough that the fact that they also feel slighted as well.
Yeah, they got jilted as well. Is
Yeah,
what they did.
they were upset, right?
It
And so,
wasted his time.
I mean,
Why are you
that
wasting
part,
everybody's
that
time?
that was it too. That part I would have, again, you know me, I show up for the I show up for the salmon, the dance, and the bridesmaids. So whether or not somebody married his uncle who's still partying, that's all I care about. If is the party still going? No. Oh man, yeah, you wasted my time. But if they're like, yeah, let's have food and drinks, like, all right, let's do this.
Yeah.
But sorry, it is very. But anyways, yeah, the mom is very upset. She's very vocal, and she's out there, and the brother is too. Um, I understand why they did what they did. I don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
In general, I never. And so, you know me, and I've say this until I'm blue in the face. I do not interfere in my relatives or friends' relationships. Whatever happens between them has nothing to do with me. Again, exceptions being, you know, physical violence or something like that, or if it gets dangerous. But if y'all don't get along, or y'all dump each other, or however you treat one another and you don't like it, whatever, that has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
And so, but at the same time, I can see how they're passionate because they feel like, oh, you just hurt my daughter slash
Yeah, it's
sister.
hard to keep quiet because you're like, you think you're doing the right thing by standing up for her, but it's just not. It's not what you need to be doing right then and there.
Well, and it's between her and him. And if she chooses to give him another chance or not give him another chance, or
And not even
whatever.
that, like even knowing that, but Nancy told her mom and her family just back off, and you still don't respect your daughter enough to obey her wishes in her moment.
That's what I'm saying.
Back off, go away.
That's what I'm saying. She's choosing to talk to him. Now, if she would have said, I don't want to talk to him and please help me get him away, okay, sure. Now he's in world of trouble because they're going to say like, hey, you need to go. But she wanted to talk to him. She wanted to, and I'm sure she did, right? Because she probably had a lot of questions at that point.
I'd be
like,
mad at my
what?
mom. It's like, dude, go away. Like this horrible thing just happened to me. And if
Right.
I do want to ask questions, like you need to go away.
Yeah. Because obviously they have a different relationship with him, and so
Yeah.
she knows him and cares about him, whatever. But at the end of the day, there really was no good explanation. Not that there ever would be exactly. Well, you know, we'll talk about a couple other ones, and some of them I can kind of see, but I still, maybe I missed it. Why did he not do it?
Well, I think according to him, there's a lot of obstacles, you know, the ones that I make up throughout the whole season and I blow out of control.
Was he talking about like, what was he talking about? Like the exes or something?
I don't know. I don't know what I have a lot of issues with the way he was acting before they went down the aisle.
Yeah.
And then he already knew he was going to say no.
Yeah.
So why are you doing all of that?
Yeah. I mean, even me as I'm sorry, even me as the audience, as a spectator, I'm like, wait a minute, what? No, what? Because I felt a little slighted myself.
Yeah,
like
he's trying to fool everybody.
You got dressed, you're talking to your dad, you're saying how much you love her.
Crying.
You walk down the aisle, you profess your love in front of the thing, and then when it gets down to the thing, no, I'm sorry. What? It's so. I'm sorry. It's like cutting a movie off right before the ending. It's like if you were watching Armageddon and then they cut it off before they blew up the meteor. And it's like, what happened? What? It's like, sorry, it's just over. Anyways, it just blew my mind. And again, I know that you don't need to justify it. I think at minimum, you need to talk to the bride for sure, whoever you left at the altar. They most certainly probably are entitled to some sort of,
right.
Because it went so far. Like to your point, if he would have called it off when they're when they're putting on wedding dresses and tuxedos, and he's like, you know what, sorry, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not. Then it'd be like, okay, and then we get the announcement. It's like, hey, the wedding's not happening. It's like, oh, okay, well, are we still partying?
I mean, we already paid for the venue. The salmon's already ordered.
I thought it was an open bar. Like, is that still good? Right? We don't want to let good beer go to waste, right? Get skunky and like, come on, guy. What? Look at that bartender. He's ready to go. Let's.
I feel like that point you
Got
probably
a
should
tip
let the
jar.
people stay there and party if that
Oh
happens.
yes, absolutely. I'm gonna party. I'm what?
That's messed up.
We put too many things in motion, but nevertheless, and that's the other part. I wonder, is that something that they pay for, or is that something that the show pays for? Because I think he would have probably called it quits if that money would have came out of
I
his
think I
pocket.
read this online and I can't remember exactly, but I think they said that the company will pay for a certain like basic package.
Okay.
If you want anything over that,
Yeah.
they had to pay for.
Bet you $10 it was the basic package.
I bet you $100 it was the basic package. If you would have had some money invested there, I don't know, maybe
exactly. Like I'm gonna spend 20,000, and that's on the very very low end to just say no. Get out of here.
not. But didn't they have to pay for the rings though? I think that they have to buy the
But a ring
engagement rings.
you can get a. I mean, I don't know what, $5,000, $6,000, whatever rings. I think it'd be semi decent for that kind of
Yeah.
money. Or you could take the approach
That's
of
still
using your
$6,000
mom's
that
ring.
he just. Yeah.
I know when I was married and I bought the engagement ring, it was a lot of money for me at the time, and I think it was like $3,000.
Yeah.
Which is laughable now. Obviously, I can afford a lot more, but I remember that was a. Let's just put it this way: my first car was $3,000.
She had a car on her finger.
Really? I mean, it wasn't the best car in the world, but that's how much I paid, and it was semi.
Well,
I mean,
I
it was
guess,
used, but it wasn't that old.
Honestly, any money he spent on Nancy, this is going to sound terrible, but it set him up for all the women out there that are now know that he exists and are going to be in his DM. So I guess money well spent.
I don't even know what to say. Sorry. I'm sorry. See, I'm a loss of words. Literally, I'm a loss of words. But so she says no. The family gets mad at the end of the day. It just didn't happen. I'm sorry. Like, it just didn't happen. So cut to SK and Raven. That was a shocker.
Yeah.
That was a shocker.
I was really surprised.
Now, I will say this, right? With SK, that was a bad outfit, man. That was a
You love
bad
those, like-
outfit. Like,
Yeah.
dude, it was gold, and it had like the shoulders were out and stuff. And I'm like, dude, like, can you wear that like out, or is that just traditionally like you can only use it at your wedding?
I think that's just like a wedding thing, or maybe like some other type of ceremony.
It's got to be another ceremony, because like if let's say we equate it to like a tuxedo. Like a tuxedo, you can wear to a very formal event, and you would wear it to a wedding too, right? For you getting married. So I'm telling you, I bet you can wear that bad boy. I mean, it was fly. I'm sorry.
Wait to the grocery store.
I was just like, what?
I just came over here to get some apples.
Dude, I mean, it was gold. It was on point. I liked it. But anyways, and Raven was looking really, really pretty too. I like her wedding dress. I know I'm gonna say something. I know I catch grief for it. But some of the wedding dresses I was like, okay, sure. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about it. It's just not my cup of tea. Let's just put it that way. I was just kind of like, oh, okay.
They weren't even memorable to me because I don't even remember what any of them looked like.
I remember them, and I just thought because I remember when they had the episode when they were trying them on and stuff, but I don't remember what they landed on. And then I saw it, and I was like, oh, is that what? Out of all the ones,
What's your favorite style?
I like it. And God, I'm not very good at describing it right, but I like it when it's all form fitting or whatever. Like it goes all the way and it goes down to like maybe like their knees.
Like a mermaid.
Yeah, kind of thing. But I don't like it when it like goes halfway and then the rest is just fluffy.
So like a ball gown.
Yeah, or the ones that are very loose and they just kind of drape over it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's
like
still
a bohemian look.
kind of, yeah.
Okay.
But I do like the whole when it's sequenced and it's got the patterns and everything, and it goes down and it just basically outlines all the curves.
I
of
think
her
that's
body.
mermaid style.
Yeah. So
Because it looks like a mermaid fin. It's like all tight, tight, and then
yes. And that's what I'm saying is when I saw Ravens, I thought that was awesome. I was like, oh, it's a really, really pretty dress.
It doesn't hurt that she's gorgeous.
It's not, but that's what I'm saying. They all have great bodies, as far as I'm concerned. But nevertheless, so they get up there, and for whatever reason, SK is like, nope, I'm not going to marry you. Now, I will say this only because he's a very likable man. I do believe that he probably was on the fence up until the last minute. I'll give him that. I don't know how you feel about it, but that's me. I'm gonna back away from the mic now.
I think I was just shocked that he said no. I don't think I even processed like, did he know before? Because I didn't expect that. Especially, it felt like for Raven for sure, the last part of their relationship, she was like goo goo gaga over him. And like she was so happy that day. I think she was genuinely happy for her wedding day. And then to hear that, that made me cry to
Can
see
I?
her.
So I'm going to make. I have a hypothesis about that.
Okay.
I have a very strong. Well, not strong. I'm sorry. That's not the right word. I have a hypothesis based on my experiences.
Okay.
So, so Brennan and Alexis, right? They were intimate pretty early on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's head over heels with her. And I think once you solidify it with the physical part, now you're really completely hooked.
Mm.
SK and Raven didn't have that passionate love affair, right? They didn't get into the thick of things, but essentially they look like they were like the old school courting, which is like they're not really that physical. They're waiting until they get married to really unleash that part of it.
Mm.
Now, the reason why I say that is because SK was obviously head over heels over Raven, but because of there's no physical intimacy,
Mm.
he's and again, I don't know this for sure. It's a hypothesis. He can sometimes see things a little more clearly, if that makes sense.
Yes, I understand what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you don't have that bit. It's almost like, and I really strongly believe sex really complicates things.
So if he had been intimate with Raven and let's say it was amazing,
Mm-hmm. Oh, he would have
probably
said
going to
yes.
say yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, he would have said like, yeah. Can we go back and consummate real quick? No, but no, I think honestly, I really do. I think he would have been like, absolutely.
Hmm.
But back in the day, the old school courting, physical intimacy was a thing that doesn't happen until much, much later on,
Mm.
like 3, 6 months. See whether or not you really are worth the effort, right? For both sides, right? For the guys, like, okay, let me get to know you. Like, yes, I think you're attractive, and we've had a few conversations, but after more and more of that, because that's all you have.
Mm.
There's no intimacy. There's nothing that doesn't get in the way. So it's purely me exchanging thoughts and ideas and opinions. And then we're getting mannerisms, if you will, and how you interact in the world. So now all of a sudden I'm formulating like, is she wife material?
Mm.
Now, the moment you get the intimacy part, it's like, I really don't care. Like, it's so good. It was just like all this. It doesn't matter that she's just rude to the staff and she does so much. Like, she's so, oh my gosh, like, I'm doing it. You know what I'm saying? And for the woman, on the woman's side, it's like you make him wait, kind of the same thing. It's like, okay, is he in this for the long haul, or does he just, he's always gonna want that. Let's just be clear. But is that the only thing that he's after? Or does he really want to be genuinely with me?
Mm-hmm.
Because if he really wants to be with me, the other part, the other bit, it's gonna be that much more rewarding, right? It's gonna be awesome once that happens. So you have that clarity. And because he was talking about school and the fact that she didn't want to bend, and he started thinking logically like, okay, how is this going to work?
Mm.
I'm going to be in California, she's going to be in Texas, we're going to be married, I got to pay for her house and my house. And I mean, you know what I'm saying?
But
Like,
when he knew all that though before.
he did. And I think, but that's what I'm saying, to put him over the top, if physical intimacy would have been there. But it's like, I'm thinking clearly because I don't know what that's like. What if
Right.
it's horrible? I mean, she's absolutely just wonderful, right? She's smoking hot. Doesn't necessarily mean that you guys are going to click on that level,
Right.
right? So I know that his mom was visibly upset about it, because you can see it.
Mm.
She was just heartbroken. I think
Yeah.
she really did care for Raven. And she really did want it to work. And, poor Raven, she had to go back and kind of think about it. So I'm not saying that he was justifying what he did. And I'm not saying that Raven's bad or anything like that, but I can understand the logic. And I can understand him at the last minute being like, you know what? I have so many reservations that I need to walk away.
This is my problem that I have with that, and I'm excluding the show. If you're with someone and they say, like, here's these things about me, and you accept them at that point, like newly, you're like, cool. And then later on, now it's a problem. It's like, wait a minute, you said when we first got together, you were cool with this thing. Now all of a sudden you're saying you're not. Like, then why did you go through all of this? If you had a deal breaker, let's say I had a kid and your rule was I'm not going to date anyone seriously that has kids. Okay, you meet me, you know I have a kid, you want to date me anyway. We're dating, we're in a serious relationship. And then in the end, and it could be a lie, but let's just say he's not lying. He says, I can't be with you because you have a kid. Why go through that whole thing? So if SK knew like these things, me going to school and me having to support all this kind of stuff, if he knew that already, why drag it out to the end?
Well, here's the thing. I get your point, but the only issue that I have with it, because I've been in situations where a woman tells me something. She's like, "Hey, I need to talk to you, and I need to tell you something." I'm like, "Okay."
That's the worst. Can we talk?
Right. Right. Or even if it's not that serious, but let's say it is, and she's like, I have web toes. Now, here's my point with that. It's like, oh, okay. There's the initial reaction. And then there's the reaction that comes post processing the information.
Okay.
And they don't always align. When I first hear something, I might just lose it because I just initially heard whatever it is that I heard. So if she said, I have webbed toes, and I'm like, oh, like that's my initial reaction. But then after I process it, I'm like, that's just stupid. Why should I care?
Right.
She's so lovely. She's wonderful. She treats me like gold. Like, of course not. That's stupid. I can't believe. But that was my initial reaction.
Yeah.
And you can't judge somebody from an initial reaction versus once you first process it, right? Like I've seen people, let's say they're walking and they trip and they fall and you start laughing. And then afterwards you catch yourself and you're like, oh, I shouldn't have laughed because they were old. Maybe they're hurt. And you know what I mean? But you can't help your initial reaction versus after you think about it and you're like, I
But
shouldn't
how
have done
long
that.
would we give a guy in the real world to be like, if you have a deal breaker and you're dating me anyway, how long are you saying like you get a certain amount of time to figure out that no, you don't want to stay with this person?
Yeah.
But
On the wedding day.
but
At the moment that they ask you, do you do? That's the cutoff time. That's the end of that.
Actually.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You have up until that moment. And he took advantage of it. And at that moment, he walked away. He's like, no.
It's just
I
the same
can't.
thing with like maybe a man of a certain age. Like if you're dating and you first meet and you say like, do you plan on getting married or whatever? And he's like, yeah, I'm just, I want to get married. And then you're dating for like 2 years. And then he's like, oh, by the way, I actually don't ever want to get married. So
Yeah, and that happens to me a lot because we're dealing in hypotheticals. And that's the part that's always dangerous.
but
That's
you
what I'm
just
saying.
spent 2 years basically letting that woman still believe what you said in the beginning was true.
But that's my point is this. My point is this. We're dealing in hypotheticals. I don't know what if somebody were to say to you, would you ever move out of Dallas? And you're like, no, of course I would never do. I love this place. And then a year from now, the circumstances change, your opinions change. Let's say you have your husband and he's like, I have this wonderful, awful offer where they're going to pay me, $500,000 a year. But the downside is we have to go live in Kansas. Okay, guess we're living in Kansas. You know what I'm saying? And you might change your tone. So when somebody, and I get this a lot too, especially on first dates, and they're like, do you ever want to have kids? And it's like, well, initially, no. But let's just say for the sake of argument, you're holding me to that decision that you've asked me on a hypothetical. Now, real world applications, we get to know each other. We progress. I fall deeply in love with her. And I start thinking like, I would love to have a baby with this woman because she's so beautiful. She's wonderful. She'd be a great mother. And I would love for her to have my children. And then I'm like, hey, baby, I really, 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 really want to have a child with you. I want us to make a baby. And she's like, but you said no. I'm like, well,
I'm not
okay, I guess
saying-
you're holding me to
I'm
that.
not
Never
saying
mind.
that people can't
Take it
change their
away.
mind. I'm
Right.
saying that if you know in the beginning, I don't want to get remarried under any circumstance, but you let them believe, like, yeah, sure. I mean,
But that's what I'm saying. It's such a definite thing. You don't know what the future holds.
women can't go on that. Women can't go, you're 40, you can't go on a date with a guy and be like, not knowing what
But
some kind of idea of what they're trying to do.
but no, I mean, look, I think I read a statistic one time that women file for divorce more than men. They changed their minds. You had me believing for 10 years that you were going to be with me forever. Now all of a sudden you've changed your mind. That seems to be acceptable, but I'm not allowed to change my mind over time. You know, when you make your vows, right, with marriage, because you can hold them to everybody to that standard. Anybody that's ever gotten divorced, you might as well get mad at them too and say, look, you made a vow. You made a vow that you were never going to change. You let this person believe that they were their ride or die.
But that's them changing their mind, though. That's not the same what I'm saying.
You're saying that they purposely lied.
Right.
Okay.
That's not them changing their mind and saying, like, yeah, I never want to get married. And then later on, you fall so deeply in love. You're like, you know what? I do. And I'm not talking about that. Okay. I'm saying, and you're intentionally lying because you want to date her. Oh, yeah, and so she's with you for 2 years. I'm not saying, like I said, this is the show aside, but like, you're saying all these things, but the reason at the altar that he says no, it's like, this is all the same stuff that's been there. You wait to the very last minute. And now Raven's in love, and she's like, "I want to."
You remember the episode we did on the friend zone? That's why you don't friend zone people, because you're going into the intent that I'm going to pretend like to be your friend, but in reality, I'm trying to make you something more than that. It's not a good idea. I agree. In any relationship, going into it when it's that level of deceitfulness, it's not a good idea.
Yeah.
That said, Matt and because we were talking about Matt and Colleen. Yeah, they got married. So
I was shocked.
I was not. I knew that those two, their insecurities balance each other out. To be honest,
they're so destructive that they're perfect for each other.
I mean, where's he gonna go? Where's Matt gonna go? If he wanted to leave, he could have left a long time ago. And Colleen, the same thing. Like those two, I'm not saying that they don't lie, but it's that situation where they, how can I put it? If they really wanted to leave, they would have left a long time ago. Let's just put it that way. Because the long game, if what you say is true with Bartice, that's the long game. That means I'm going to, from here until, for a long time, mask my true intentions until the last minute, and then I'm going to let everybody know. And that kind of leads us into the next one with Zayn and Cole. But I don't think emotionally, Matt and Colleen wear their emotions on their sleeves. And if they really, really wanted to be out, they would have been out a long time ago.
I just think the only way they're going to be successful, they both need some counseling. They need to, I don't know. I find it hard to believe that they're going to last for very long. But.
I think they're going to, I think they'll be fine. Believe it or not. Out of all of them, between Brennan and Alexis.
So many.
Right? Between Brennan and Alexis is bound, Brennan is bound by contract, so he might. But I would say if I had to place a bet on who's going to last longer.
Ooh, let's place a bet.
I think Matt and Colleen will last longer than Brennan and Alexis.
Okay, so what, I'll buy you like a candy bar?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to say Colleen and Matt are going to get divorced first.
Yeah.
Ooh, stay tuned.
Yay. But okay, so the last one is Zaynab and Cole. That was brutal.
That was heartbreaking.
That was absolutely one of the most brutal. I described it earlier in very graphic, and I'm not going to describe it again, but it really is the short version and the clean version. She ripped his heart out and stomped on it right in front of everybody. And that's really the only way that I can really describe that. As a guy, maybe I'm just more violent than him, and that's what it feels like, right? But, she goes up there, and it was interesting because I was watching it, and I watch the shows with subtitles. I don't know if you do that, but it's just a habit of mine. And he was so excited. He was like, "You look so great. You look so beautiful, blah, blah, blah." And they're doing this. And then at one point, it's under his breath, but he's like, "I want to kiss you so bad." And then she tells him, "You can't do that." And I thought to myself, oh, that's rough. because again, this the she hasn't done anything at that point, but she's just basically said for, I guess what, decorum. You can't kiss me before the
Yeah, you gotta
the
wait. It's
pastors.
coming, but you gotta wait.
Right. And I'm just like, I mean, I remember being in my wedding and I was nervous, but trust me when I tell you, if I wanted to kiss her, I would have kissed her. Like I would have just been, but and here's the point that I'm trying to make though. He's ready. Like he's so like, I want to be with you. I want to just absorb you as much as possible. And
Yeah.
she's like, mm-mm. And it wasn't a cutesy. It was like a scolding, like, no, you can't do that. Like, that's unacceptable. And I thought to myself, oh, dude, all right, well, hang in there, man. You just got a little bit longer to go and then things are going to work out for you. But, she gives this long speech about how he's the most horrible human being that's ever walked the earth and how he destroyed her self-esteem and her worth and has made her feel completely insignificant. And she tells him to go jump off a roof, drops the mic. Her friends clap for her. And then they walk away. Now, the aftermath of that, Cole's buddies come to him, and it was one of the most touching scenes because they start hugging him and they all surround him. So it turns into this big, like a huddle type thing, as a circle thing. And it's so symbolic in that sense because essentially what they know they can't shield him from whatever that pain is that he's feeling. You're going to have to feel that. But as a friend, it's like a symbolic thing. Like, we're around you and we're surrounding you. So
we're protecting you from danger.
Yes, physically, nobody's going to hurt you. Unfortunately, we can't protect you from your heart. Like that's, there's nothing that we can do, but it was so symbolic. And I just, I saw that and I was like, man, that's a brother's love right there. It's like, that's all we can do. As men, we, as fathers, as men, as boyfriends, we want to protect the people that we love and care about. And that also includes your best bud, your brother, your the guy that's been through thick and thin, that's been there for you. You want to protect him. Anybody goes up against him, guess what? You're going up against me. Again, I'm talking physical thing. When it comes to matters of the heart, oh man, and you know that pain, and you know there's just nothing that you can do to protect them from it. And it hurts. Yeah. You feel that pain because every guy, I would say, knows what that feels like to be rejected. And the way she did it and the manner that she did it was brutal. Brutal. I mean, brutal. And this is my whole thing, right? The reason why I keep on harping on this is I'm not saying that he was a perfect guy. None of us are. He has his flaws, and I'm sure he's done some things that he's not proud of. Fair enough. But I'm all about, quote unquote justice. In other words, your actions and the consequences should match up. And I think that was just way too hard for you know what I mean? Like, it was rough.
I don't know if I could do that to anyone, even if they did hurt me in the worst kind of way. I don't know if I could have done something like that to someone else.
It's hard. Hurt people, right?
I know.
But she walks off, and here's my only controversial part of that whole thing is that she kept on saying that she waited until the last minute, but then as she's doing the interview, she's talking about, the night before she knew she wasn't going to be able to do it. So it was a little bit of conflicting information. Because on one hand, she was saying, I didn't know until the last minute. And on the other hand, she said, no, I knew since last night that I wasn't going to do it.
You could tell because when she was giving her little speech, it was so precise. You know that she scripted
Didn't sound ad-lib to you?
No, because if you were doing that and you're emotional and you're just, I'm not saying you're going to stumble, but it's like you haven't really processed everything yet. That was a list that she came up with, like Santa Claus, checking it once, checking it twice. It is just like, and then you want to try to make us believe. Like,
well, and she was really good about making me believe. And I'll tell you why, because right before she walks down the aisle, she's like, I'm losing it. And she's like trying to, because her mom's there and, they do the air kisses, and she's like trying to calm herself. And looking back on it, if your theory is correct, it wasn't that she was nervous that she was about to get married. She was nervous because she has to give this whole giant speech.
Yeah.
And she
She's
doesn't.
about to be doing a play, and I got to be good.
She was about to massacre somebody. She was nervous about, I'm going to massacre this guy.
And I hope it goes as
Yes.
planned.
And I was like, I mean, again, you have to go back and watch it. And like, ooh, that's hardcore.
Yeah.
You're psyching yourself. I mean, Bartisa is the same thing. If we think that he also had every intention on saying no, he's just psyching himself up. But it's even worse on Bartisa's side because he's lying to himself and to everybody else. He's like, yeah, I'm going down there and stuff. And then you look at him feeling like conflicted, and you're just like, you look at it now and it's like, well, if you knew all along, what's exactly going on? What are you conflicted about exactly?
Yeah.
So anyways, very brutal, and we're gonna leave it at that. The brutality, the massacre. We'll call that the wedding day massacre.
It was.
So the next one that we're gonna be doing is a reunion. Yeah, and I got questions, so
I got answers.
we're gonna figure out what they said. But yeah, it was a good.
It's a long road.
There's a lot of drama in this season.
Yeah.
There was drama in other ones too, but this one. Oh.
I think I said in the beginning, I was like, Dallas people, you better represent. And I got my wish.
Oof. I wish it wasn't like that, but anyways, it was fun.
Yes.
All right. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.